Hi, so my name's Pat O'Toole. Today I'll be talking about basketball, which is one of my passions. I've not always outwardly expressed my love for basketball to other people. It's kind of just a personal preference that I never wanted just a specific sport, or any sport really, to define who I was as a person. Needless to say, if you knew me as a youth, in high school, or even in college, or even now, it was quite obvious that my desire to not make my intense passion for the game known, it was undermined by my actions. So I began to play basketball in 6th grade. I played at St. Rose School in Haddon Heights, New Jersey. I was really blessed and lucky to have a coach there who was considered basically a living legend. And he inspired many young men and girls as well, and motivated children since he started. His message was always to be passionate and to work to the best of your ability at whatever you do in life. He knew that basketball wasn't for everyone, and he wanted to teach life lessons, just to work as hard as you possibly could in order to be your best self. But he did this, to everybody, just to be successful in your future. He would say things like, if you want to be a mathematician, you need to live, eat, and breathe math. If you want to be a trumpet player, you need to practice like you're trying to be the best trumpet player in the world. He inspired the people who I looked up to when I first started, just names of players that came before me. And he inspired my 3 older brothers. And this started in 1987, my oldest brother, Tim. And it went all the way until I graduated in 2000. I really looked up to my older brothers. So from the time I discovered the game in 6th grade, my parents never had to worry about where I was. If I wasn't practicing dribbling in my basement, I was shooting in my backyard, or you could find me practicing at St. Rose. We're playing pickup at what was called Audubon courts, pretty much at literally all hours of the day and night. So the passion developed from the desire to be the best, and that came from my coach. And I took on that attitude that no one was going to work harder than me. As I got older and I went to high school in Philadelphia, and that's when I kind of became more interested in family history as well. And I started really paying attention to the stories that my grandpa would say about him playing high school basketball at a school called North Catholic. He graduated in 1943, so there was a lot of family history involved. And then my dad would also tell stories about him playing in the Los Angeles Catholic League and the players that he played against in the 70s. So my love for the game grew and grew. And it's really a unique sport. I mean, in my opinion, you could be as creative as an artist on the court. Your body movements are like as fluid as a dancer. Teamwork and set plays are as coordinated as a classical orchestra. And all at the same time, you could be as tough as a heavyweight boxing fighter. And the most beautiful part about it was that all you needed was a basketball and a hoop. And so it developed from there. It never took a lot of money. I just would go up to the courts, occupy my time, stay out of trouble, and I just developed this intense, strong passion and love for the game. So there are 3 main components to the game of basketball. Dribbling, using flexion and extension, you bounce the ball up and down. Then there's passing, where you can move the ball to teammate to teammate. Whoa, hey there. Okay, throw it back and forth. And then there's shooting, which is kind of the purpose of the game, where you put the ball into the basket. Okay. And so traditionally the game is played 5 players versus 5 players. And the purpose is to have possession of the ball. If you have possession of the ball, you're considered to be on offense. And then that's when you want to put the ball in the basket. And then if you don't have the ball, your job is to play defense and to prevent the other team from scoring the ball into the basket. And in that sense, you can't use too much physical contact, but it can get pretty physical. And usually there's refs involved who determine the rules of the game and whether you're violating them or not. Okay, so you play on what is called a court. You can see the basket here, and this is a court, but this is a half a court. Usually there's another basket at the other end. So from my perspective of the game, what it means to me, it encompasses multiple areas of occupation. So the first one that's kind of like the most obvious is health management and maintenance. So the physicality of the sport make it a great workout, and it promotes a healthy lifestyle. So a phrase that's often used in basketball terms is, can you run, jump, and shoot? Which is really important in the game. And the other area of occupation is exploration of informal personal interests and informal personal education participation. So one of the best ways to learn this game is through your own exploration. You find out whether it's your passion or not, or whether it's just something that you do because the rest of your friends are doing it. And just learning the history of the game, talking to people who have a lot more experience, having great coaches, and just asking for help, finding out where the best camps are, finding out where the best pickup games are. They all like really improve your ability to maximize your potential. So another one of the most important things and aspects of basketball is that it's an area of play. This game can be very serious and very competitive, and it involves blood, sweat, and tears, and you know, you practice in all types of weather conditions if you're really serious, like the rain and brutal heat in the summer. But at the end of the day, if you're not having fun and enjoying it, you should probably find something else to do, because then you're not really passionate. The best players love this game, like literally love it, and they want to practice 24/7. So if you want to be the best, then you don't care whether you're shooting in the middle of the night when everybody else is sleeping. That's fun to those kind of players. But like I said, at the end, it's all about enjoying yourself. What happens to a lot of young players is they're pressured by adults who kind of have ulterior motives, whether it's their career or just they want to live through their kid. And a lot of players, it's called getting burnt out. And they play so much and they're like forced to play and they don't really love it. And by the time they're in high school, they're sick of it. And you know, it ruins a lot of players' enjoyment of the game. So another area of occupation is leisure, exploration, and participation. So for me, this sport is a great way to relax. Just sometimes, just if it's been a while, just hearing the ball bounce. In New York City, it's pretty unique. They don't use nets on the rim, but in a lot of areas, in most areas, there's nets, and just a lot of people just love that sound of the ball going through the hoop, just a swish, like when you hit nothing but net, is what they say. And for a lot of people who really love the game, that can be really relaxing and just a leisure activity. And another thing that's really really present is social participation. So community, it brings together communities a lot of times. You might hear like New York Knicks saying, like, that's my team. You know, they really identify with their team. And even like their cities or states, they get like a lot of pride, and you'll hear various arguments of like the best players are from New York City, or the best players are from the state of Indiana, or no, the best players are from California. So that sense of community is really present. And also for families. So for example, my family, the sport kind of transcended various, like, different generations. And it brought us closer together, because whenever, you know, one of the kids had a game, we'd all go, and then we'd have dinner after, and it was just a really fun experience. And then also, like, you know, my grandpa played basketball, and he would tell stories about seeing players like Wilt Chamberlain, who's considered one of the best games. And then my brothers and I would go to games at a famous gym in Philadelphia called the Palestra, and they were just really good memories. And then even like as far as family goes, with my dad, you know, he would just rebound me while I was shooting, and we would have you know, just talks about life, and he would give advice, and it was really fond memories and good experiences to learn from. And as far as peers and friends go, it's even sometimes hard to put into words how intense my friendships have developed over the years. and it kind of all stemmed from basketball. So I'm still best friends with a lot of kids that I went to grade school with. And also in high school, we were one of the better teams in the nation. We won 2 Philadelphia Catholic League titles. So kind of going on road trips and just early morning Saturday practices when everybody was tired, it just really brought us together. We spent many hours together practicing, playing for each other, playing with each other, and it's hard to recreate those kind of bonds when you're all going through the same experience. Now I'd like to talk about adapting activity, which is really our focus here. So there's a lot of adaptations that can be done in order to make the game more accessible to more people. So the ball that we use, usually it's about this size, but you can really get it in any size. So if it's a child and they have smaller hands, you're going to want to use a smaller ball. The different surfaces, if you get a close-up here, you can see that it has little ridges, and that's all to help grip. So you can have bigger bumps here and bigger ridges, and that also helps grip. So that's one adaptation that can be used. And there's different textures to each kind of brand of balls, and this gives all like different tactile sensations. So the traditional basket, another adaptation, the traditional basket is 10 feet tall. So the top of that rim is at 10 feet. But if, a lot of children or someone in a wheelchair might not be able to get the ball all the way up. So you can adjust the height of the rim, and that'll help a lot of children. It helps a lot of special needs kids if they have like low tone in their arms and legs. Shooting is kind of like a total body effort. So the uses, and also the uses of the basketball court and the ball can be adapted. So we are on a basketball court here, but it doesn't necessarily have to be used for that. So you can incorporate other activities. A big thing in basketball is mobility and speed and balance. So you can do all kinds of drills and workouts on this court because it's a nice open space. And also the ball. Like, it doesn't necessarily, although it's good to practice your dribbling, it can be used, it's 7 to 9 pounds, but it can be used as kind of a medicine ball, and just extension and flexion. But another thing is like integration of body movements. So this is called a layup, where you kind of go up, you're shooting, and you do that all at the same time. So then also like motor planning and motor coordination to kind of put all these moves together, because you can do a variation of moves. You might want to get away from your defender, like go through your legs and then cross over, and it's kind of instinctual, but you can also plan it, because once you get good, you can kind of anticipate what the defender is going to do, and then also improving muscle tone. Like I said, it's this really physical sport, but even just moving around and getting shoulder flexion and this extension. So another adaptation, I had mentioned some people might be in a wheelchair. So actually the popularity of that sport has really skyrocketed in recent years, and it's a really intense sport. They have refs just like able-bodied basketball players, and it's really competitive, and I know they have a lot of fun. One client I've observed in my school setting, he would greatly benefit from lowered baskets. So in the school, they have a gym that they're able to use, but they're 10-foot baskets, and he has trouble getting the ball all the way up. Another adaptation that would help him a lot would be a smaller ball. He's a young child, and this is just too big for him. So a different ball, which would also be a different weight, would be good for him. And like I said before, a ball that had more texture would be good for him, because it's easier to manipulate the ball even when you're dribbling and then when you're shooting as well. So I hope you all enjoyed my presentation and can relate by thinking of what your passions are. And as my grade school coach would say, work as hard as you possibly can, and like harder than you ever thought was possible, and just be the best at whatever you can be for whatever your passion is. And I hope you can relate, even though basketball is not for everybody, you can still relate to that kind of passionate feeling and work hard towards it, harder than you ever thought was possible, just to be the best that you possibly can be.